So there's this quote, it goes, AI won't replace humans, but humans with AI will replace humans without AI.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the defining reality of the modern workplace right now.
Absolutely. Welcome to this deep dive, everyone. If you're listening to this on your commute or prepping for a Monday morning meeting, chances are you've felt that palpable anxiety about artificial
Oh,
intelligence.
for sure. It feels like we're all just kind of waiting for this giant algorithmic wave to either hand us a massive promotion or wash our careers away entirely.
Exactly. And our mission today is to cut through that absolute hysteria. We are going to give you a highly practical, strategic shortcut to adapting your career right now.
Because what we're currently experiencing, it's not an extinction event for human workers.
Right.
That quote you opened with, that's from Harvard Business School professor Kareem R. Lakhani, and it frames this perfectly. We're going through a massive structural repricing of skills.
A repricing of skills,
Yeah.
which means the anxiety people feel, it's completely valid because things are moving incredibly fast.
Yeah, but the focus of that anxiety is misplaced. I mean, it's not about the machine deleting your job. It's about knowing how to turn your existing hard-won experience into leverage.
And I want to get into exactly how we do that. We're going to pull from some fascinating research today, everything from regional economic playbooks out of Atlanta to live marketing case studies, and even deep dives into the history of computing.
Which is actually where we need to start.
Yeah, I think to get that leverage, we have to step entirely out of the current hype cycle. Like,
Yeah.
we need to go back to the 1950s and 60s to look at what this technology was originally intended to be.
The forgotten history of computing, it's so important because the original vision, it wasn't about building an independent artificial brain that would just sit in a corner and replace us.
Right.
It was about something called intelligence amplification, or IA.
So IA instead of AI.
Exactly. Intelligence amplification is about using technology to physically and cognitively enhance human reasoning.
Which is such a different mindset.
It really is. If you go back to 1956, there was a cybernetics pioneer named William Ross Ashby, and he was writing about amplifying our power of appropriate selection.
The power of appropriate selection.
Yeah, he basically realized that complex problem solving is fundamentally just making the right choices from a massive set of options.
Okay.
And he believed we could build machines to amplify that specific intellectual power in the exact same way a physical pulley amplifies muscle power.
A pulley for the mind. And then a few years later, right around 1960, J.C.R. Licklider publishes this concept called man-computer symbiosis.
Right, which is exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah, he envisioned human brains and computing machines being tightly coupled together. They weren't master and servant, they were partners.
And then Douglas Engelbart comes along in 1962.
The guy who invented the computer mouse, right?
Yes, exactly. He created a whole framework for augmenting human intellect. He was looking at diplomats and scientists who were just overwhelmed by global crises.
And he wanted to use computers to help them tackle problems that were just too complex for a naked human brain to solve.
They were trying to build bicycles for the mind. And what is incredible is that we are seeing the extreme modern evolution of that vision right now.
Like that MIT research in the sources.
Yes, the alter ego device. This is wild. It's a peripheral nerve-computer interface.
Wait, explain what that actually looks like for the person wearing it.
So a human wears it, and without even opening their mouth, they mentally verbalize a question. The device reads the neuromuscular signals in their jaw, sends the query to an AI, and delivers the answer back to the human via bone conduction headphones.
Completely silently.
Entirely silent. It acts almost like a tertiary digital layer of their own brain.
That is just wild. You essentially have an encyclopedic database whispering the answer into your ear in real time.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just individual amplification.
Mhm.
The research also highlights something called artificial swarm intelligence.
Oh, like how a flock of birds moves or bees finding a hive?
Right. Instead of building one massive AI to solve a problem, scientists are modeling biological swarms. They connect small teams of human experts using AI algorithms.
So instead of an AI doctor replacing human doctors.
The AI networks 5 human doctors together, vastly increasing their collective accuracy in making complex medical diagnoses.
It fundamentally changes the output. And this brings up a vital distinction raised by researchers Shan Carter and Michael Nielsen in the materials.
The outsourcing versus transformation concept.
Exactly. They point out two very different ways we interact with these tools. You have cognitive outsourcing versus cognitive transformation.
Right. Cognitive outsourcing is when you use AI as an oracle. You hand it a problem, you step back, and it hands you the answer.
You just outsource the thinking entirely.
Yeah.
So the analogy here is that a calculator is cognitive outsourcing. You punch in the numbers, it spits out the math, but it doesn't change how you actually think about arithmetic.
But a spreadsheet is a cognitive transformation.
Exactly. It changes the very way we conceptualize, visualize, and manipulate data. It fundamentally upgrades our capability to build complex financial models.
Which is the core question for the modern workplace. I mean, are most people using AI as a calculator or a spreadsheet?
And honestly, the vast majority are treating it exactly like a calculator.
Yeah, 100%. They type a quick prompt, they get a mediocre email draft, they paste it, and they move on.
That is cognitive outsourcing. And as a career strategy, it is a dead end.
Completely. The professionals who will actually thrive are the ones who figure out how to use AI as a spreadsheet to fundamentally transform their daily operations.
Okay, so the spreadsheet analogy makes total sense for data on a screen.
Yeah.
But how does this cognitive transformation actually play out in the messy physical world?
You mean beyond just writing code or drafting emails?
Yeah, like moving boxes, treating patients, running logistics.
To see the physical reality of this, we have to look at the regional economic data. In the sources, there's a strategic playbook called the 404 signal, which focuses on Atlanta.
Atlanta as the operational control tower of the Southeast United States.
Exactly. And the scale of this region is staggering. We're talking about a $3.5 trillion combined Southeast GDP block.
Wow. And Atlanta hosts these enterprise giants, right? Delta Airlines, UPS, the Home Depot, Coca-Cola.
Right. This isn't Silicon Valley. We aren't talking about people building photo sharing apps in a garage. This is deep operational technology.
The physical movement of goods, people, and capital.
And AI is penetrating highly complex supply chains and massive regional healthcare networks there, like Emory University.
So how is the 404 signal actually tracking this shift?
Through something called the Atlanta AI Economic Index. They're looking at AI job postings and how deeply enterprise vendors are penetrating the market.
But the most critical metric they are monitoring is wage compression versus wage expansion.
Exactly. And the macro numbers driving this are huge. Enterprise AI spending is projected to exceed $300 billion annually.
And generative AI productivity studies are showing, what, 10 to 35% productivity gains for knowledge workers?
Yeah, which is a massive jump.
But hold on, I have to push back here.
Sure.
Because if a logistics manager at UPS suddenly gets 35% more productive because an AI is optimizing their truck routes, doesn't UPS just turn around and fire 35% of their routing managers?
I mean, it sounds like corporate spin for inevitable layoffs, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the most common fear, and it's totally understandable. But it fundamentally misunderstands how the repricing of skills works in an operational economy.
Okay, walk me through that.
Let's look at the mechanism of wage compression versus expansion. The automation of a specific task doesn't delete the company's overarching goal.
How so? Give me an example.
Let's say you're an administrator at Emory Healthcare. Your overarching goal is maximizing patient flow and quality of care.
Right.
If AI comes in and automates the basic data entry of patient intake forms, the value of that specific data entry task goes down. It compresses.
So if your only skill was typing that data, your wages will compress.
Exactly. But that same AI is now instantly flagging which patients are highest risk and predicting bed shortages 3 days in advance.
Oh, I see.
The value of the human being who can strategically interpret that faster data flow and reorganize the hospital wing, that value just expanded exponentially.
Okay, so the spreadsheet analogy really holds up in the physical world, too.
It does.
The spreadsheet automated the raw math, but it didn't eliminate accountants. It made financial forecasting so incredibly fast that the demand for human strategic analysis actually exploded.
Precisely. If you're only known for executing the routine task, your wages will compress. But if you transition to managing the system, handling exceptions, and applying human judgment, your value expands.
AI augments high-skill operators. It doesn't replace them.
Right.
So how do we guarantee we land on the wage expansion side of that equation? What does this actually look like for the listener sitting at their desk at 9 a.m. tomorrow?
Let's use a specific department as a sandbox to see this in real time. What about marketing?
Marketing is the perfect sandbox for this. It's a pressure cooker. You've got high volumes of content, brutal deadlines, and constant data analysis.
And if you look at the data coming out of project management platforms like ClickUp, it's incredibly revealing.
Yeah, they found that 88% of survey respondents are already using AI tools to make their personal tasks easier.
And nearly 75% of new web pages right now include some form of AI-generated content.
Which is wild. And the daily use cases they highlighted are fascinating.
Yeah.
Marketers are doing rapid content ideation.
Yeah, there was that example of a team brainstorming 40 highly targeted campaign ideas in under 60 seconds.
Or using AI to instantly segment audiences based on incredibly complex purchase histories.
They're taking a raw transcript of a 1-hour, highly technical webinar, dropping it into an AI, and asking it to pull out 5 bite-sized, engaging LinkedIn posts.
Or doing rapid A/B testing on ad copywriting.
It's powerful, but we have to talk about the operational disasters waiting to happen if you do this poorly.
Because it's not foolproof.
Not at all. The research highlights severe limitations if you rely on basic, disconnected AI tools. First off, basic AI reflects the bias of its training data.
Right.
Second, it struggles deeply with your specific business context. And crucially, if it doesn't know the answer, it will confidently invent details. Hallucinations.
And if your AI hallucinates a fake product feature in a massive ad campaign, that is literally a career-ending operational failure.
Exactly, which perfectly introduces 2 huge organizational problems mentioned in the research: work sprawl and AI sprawl.
Work sprawl being that classic nightmare where your strategic plans, your daily tasks, and your creative briefs live in 5 different disconnected software tools.
And AI sprawl is the modern nightmare. It's where your team is relying on scattered, unvetted AI models with zero oversight.
You're bleeding money on subscriptions, risking company security by pasting data into public models, and duplicating effort across the board.
And the solution to this, which platforms like ClickUp are pioneering, is integrated AI.
So instead of opening a separate tab to chat with an AI, the AI sits natively inside your workspace.
Exactly. The absolute game changer here is context. A disconnected tool only knows what you paste into the chat box in that exact moment.
Whereas an integrated AI already has the context of your company's past 3 years of campaigns.
Your highly specific target audience documents, your current project timelines, everything.
It's like hiring a brilliant intern who suffers from complete amnesia every single morning.
Yes, that is exactly what it's like.
If you use a disconnected tool, you spend more time explaining the intricate background of your company to the AI every single day than you actually save on the work it produces.
Right. You want to avoid constantly re-explaining your business to the machine. And this realization that context and direction are everything, it brings us to the most important part of this deep dive.
Which is?
Having seen the pitfalls of AI sprawl, we realize the true leverage isn't the software itself. The leverage lies entirely in how the human directs it.
Okay, so if I don't want to be the amnesiac intern's babysitter and I want to aggressively protect my value in the market, what is the actual playbook here?
This is where mid-career professionals have a massive, distinct advantage. If you've been working for 5, 10, or 20 years, you aren't starting from zero.
Because you already understand complex workflows.
Exactly. You understand office politics, business pressure, managing angry clients, hitting deadlines. That context is your defensive moat.
And the economic playbook from Atlanta outlines 7 essential skills to transition your career. We can group them logically to make them easier to digest.
Let's start with how we actually design the work. That covers the first 2 skills: workflow mapping and AI task judgment.
Okay, so workflow mapping. That's acknowledging that AI does not fix a bad process.
Right. If your department's approval pipeline is a bureaucratic mess, adding AI just accelerates the confusion.
You have to map the exact steps of a task, who touches it, where the bottlenecks are, before you automate a single thing.
And that leads directly into AI task judgment.
The rule here is don't ask, can AI do this? Ask, should AI do this?
Exactly. I mean, AI is perfectly capable of drafting a highly sensitive, nuanced email to a furious enterprise client.
But should it automatically send that email without your review? Absolutely not.
The highly valued professional knows exactly where AI fits inside the workflow and where human intervention is mandatory.
But wait, if I spend my week mapping out my entire workflow and identifying exactly what the AI should and shouldn't do, aren't I just giving corporate management a perfectly drawn blueprint on how to automate my exact job?
Only if your job is purely executing repetitive tasks. And that brings us to the second group of skills: directing the machine.
Which includes prompt direction and tool selection.
You have to stop thinking of yourself as the person who does the task and start thinking of yourself as the director.
And prompt direction isn't just knowing a few magic buzzwords, right?
No, it's about directing the AI like a literal, highly capable assistant. You must provide clear goals, rigid constraints, an audience profile, and a strict standard of quality.
Access to the tool is not leverage. Direction is leverage.
That is the key. And tool selection is about signal over noise.
How do you evaluate a tool's worth?
You stop chasing every shiny new AI tool that trends on social media. You need to build a simple, integrated stack for your specific daily tasks and aggressively ignore the rest.
Because if a tool doesn't integrate seamlessly into your mapped workflow, it's just adding to the AI sprawl.
Right. Which naturally leads to the third area, quality control and translation. This covers verification and AI-assisted communication.
Verification is where casual, lazy users are going to get exposed and fired.
You must develop a ruthless ability to spot when AI sounds incredibly confident but is entirely wrong. You have to check the math. You have to validate the claims.
Your human judgment is the final layer of quality control.
And AI-assisted communication is about using the technology to become the bridge.
Translating complex technical risks into incredibly clear language for non-technical leadership.
Yes. If you become the person who can synthesize the AI's data and explain it perfectly to the C-suite, you gain immense visibility and trust.
Which all culminates in the final, ultimate skill, career repositioning.
You must actively, deliberately move away from being known for task execution, because execution is where the automation pressure is highest.
So don't just be the person who compiles and formats the weekly analytics report, because that job is gone.
Exactly. Become the person who improves how the weekly report is generated, how it's interpreted, and how the company acts upon it.
You transition from the executor of the task to the improver of the workflow. You go from being a mechanic to the engineer designing the factory floor.
And that is how you guarantee wage expansion.
Okay, I love this strategy, but I need something concrete. For the listener listening right now, who wants to start repositioning their career the second this deep dive ends, what is step one?
The most actionable step you can take today is an AI skill audit. Take out a physical piece of paper and write down 5 tasks you do every single week.
Like writing project updates or analyzing a spreadsheet, drafting client responses.
Right. For each of those 5 tasks, ask yourself 4 specific questions. First, what part of this task can AI draft? Second, what part can AI organize? Third, what part can AI summarize?
And fourth, and probably most crucially, what part still strictly requires my human judgment, empathy, or context?
Doing that audit on just 5 tasks will immediately highlight where your leverage is.
So, synthesizing everything we've explored today, we started by tracing the very philosophy of computing back to the 1950s.
Realizing that intelligence amplification was always meant to be a symbiotic partnership, not a human replacement.
Then we looked at the multi-trillion-dollar physical economy of the Southeast to see how AI is actually repricing skills.
Compressing wages for basic rote tasks, but massively expanding them for human strategic oversight.
And we saw how departments like marketing are fighting off the chaos of AI sprawl by using integrated, context-aware tools.
And the absolute core takeaway for you, the listener, is that you do not need to panic. You do not need to learn how to code Python overnight.
Your existing hard-won experience with the realities of business is your greatest asset.
By utilizing that 7-skill playbook, specifically focusing on workflow mapping, rigorous verification, and prompt direction, you naturally transition.
From a vulnerable task executor to an indispensable system operator. You stop competing with the machine on speed and you start directing it on strategy.
Exactly.
I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. We talked about artificial swarm intelligence earlier.
The idea that AI can model biological swarms to network a small team together.
Right, amplifying their diagnostic accuracy far beyond natural human limits. If that is currently happening in medicine, what does the future of your corporate collaboration look like?
That's a great question.
In 3 to 5 years, your most valuable professional skill might not be your isolated individual intelligence. Your value might be entirely based on how effectively you can swarm with your colleagues and your integrated AI systems to solve complex problems together.
It is a profound shift from individual output to collective amplified intelligence.
It changes everything. So the next time you log on to work, remember the reality of the situation. AI isn't going to replace you. But a professional who knows how to amplify their intelligence with AI absolutely will if you just stand by and let them.
So true.
Don't be the person stubbornly punching numbers into a calculator while everyone else is building dynamic spreadsheets. Expand your value, direct the machine, and keep learning.